Hi, this is the Bible Touchstone. I'm responding to a video from TorahRevival, and his question is, when did heaven and earth pass away? And he's addressing this to what he calls anti-Torah Christians. Hopefully I'm not fit to bear that sort of title, but I am fit to bear the title Christian, and I want to address some of the questions that he was, I think, rhetorically asking. He appeals to Matthew chapter 5, and I'm going to deal with some particular, or at least verses 17 and 18, and hopefully I have enough time in the next video to address the integral context, which he also made some other appeals and comments on. It says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." So, of course, I'm not trying to say the Torah died or ended absolutely, and I don't think that's what Paul was saying. Maybe we can address some of those things through a discussion or maybe some other videos. So I don't want to bear that title anti-Torah, but I do believe that heaven and earth had passed away and that the Torah, the law, had been fulfilled in Jesus Christ. And TorahRevival, he begs for scriptural evidence, and I certainly respect that, and I'm going to take up the challenge. And also he asks, when was all fulfilled, all the Torah? That all had to be fulfilled before heaven and earth could pass away. So hopefully I get some allotted time in the next video to address those things also. So what were heaven and earth? Well, first I wanted to mention that God promised the world would never end. Ecclesiastes, one generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The Psalms also agree, thy faithfulness is unto all generation, thou hast established the earth, and it abideth. Also see Psalms 93 and 96 says, say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth, and the world also shall be established, it shall not be moved, and he shall judge the people righteously. Also see Psalm 78. He built a sanctuary like high places, like the earth, that which he hath established forever. 1 and 4, it says, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Also, God explicitly said that he would not destroy the world as he did with the flood. See Genesis chapter 8, chapter 9, and Genesis chapter 6. So heaven and earth are subpoenaed witnesses to the Deuteronomic covenant between God and his people. Deuteronomy 4 says, I call heaven and earth a witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land wherein do ye go over Jordan to possess it, that ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. Deuteronomy 30, which TorahRevival actually appealed to, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Also see Deuteronomy 31, verse 28. Also see Jeremiah 51, verse 48. Psalm 76, thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven. The earth feared and was still when God arose with judgment to save all the meek of the earth. So these subpoenaed witnesses to the Deuteronomic writ served as the legally necessary parties or witnesses under the terms of that covenant. That is, there had to be two witnesses to establish the initial decree. So we see this convention in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 6, Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15, in the New Testament, and also this tradition can be seen in 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 10 as an example. I'm sure TorahRevival is familiar with this convention. Job chapter 20 says, heaven and earth shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him, and increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of the wicked man from God, and the heritage appointed unto him by God. Also see Job chapter 28, verse 21 to 28. So Jesus' treatment of heaven and earth's passing are certainly possible if he's talking about, especially in the context of terms of the covenant and the law by God, it would have to be under the fulfillment of eschatological pressure and tension, which I'm going to appeal was fulfilled. At least Jesus Christ said it was fulfilled at a specific time affirmed by history. So in Matthew chapter 24, Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said to them, ye see not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And so they inquire privately with him, and they ask, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the age? So he gives certain signs of when that would happen, including uh, false Christs, false prophets and teachers, wars and rumors of wars, and all sorts of signs, including earthquakes and much more. And in verse 30 it says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of earth to the other. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When the branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh. So likewise, when you see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. So I'm going to address more in the next video about all those things being fulfilled, but at least in this case, Jesus said that it would happen in that generation with the destruction of the temple. Now, in the previous chapter of Matthew, it says he's dealing with the religious elite, the scribes and the Pharisees, which he calls hypocrites. And he calls them, for ye make clean the outside of the cup of the platter, but within are full of extortion and excess. He calls them blind and all sorts of names, because inside they were unclean. And this kind of goes along with Matthew chapter 5, where he says, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees, you shall no wise enter the kingdom of heaven. So it continues on and ye say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. And it says, wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killeth the prophets. Fill up then the measure of your fathers, ye serpents, ye generation of vipers. How can ye escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore ye behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them ye shall scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zacharias of Bacchias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. That's the destruction of the temple, which did indeed occur in that generation. So that's why Luke says when Jerusalem would be encompassed with armies, that they were to flee into the mountains. And that's why he also calls it the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. So hopefully I can deal with some of the particular implications of the full preterist position. And as always, grace be to you.